Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 4th Annual Rochester Association for Film Arts and Sciences Incorporated Scriptitude Table Reading. I'm Wayne Coughlin, the Chairman and CEO of ROFIS. For the third year in a row, this event is sponsored by Script Studio. Script Studio is a complete creative writing software package for screenwriters, playwrights, and novelists. It's a tool set that takes your initial idea from concept to outline, to character development, to structuring your narrative, and to professionally formatting your script. Check it out at www.scriptstudio.com. Now, tonight's winning screenwriter will receive a free copy of Script Studio in addition to a cash prize. This evening, in addition to reading the script that graded out as the best of the entries we received, Usurpation by Rocket Ross, we will be reading 3 examples of exercises and/or projects from the Rochester Writers Workshop. Since this is a Rochester Writers Workshop event, I would like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about the workshop. From 2008, Mike Boas and I have hosted a free, bi-weekly, 2-hour workshop open to all screenwriters, regardless of experience level. From the start of the pandemic, we have continued the workshop via Zoom, since this allows us to remove the geography barrier and allow anyone with an internet connection to attend. We plan to continue this method into the future. The free workshop consists of table reads, providing constructive criticisms, education, and writing exercises, among other things. If anyone's interested, the next workshop is Tuesday, December 20th at 6:30 p.m. If you're interested, install Zoom, create a free account, and then go to the Writers Workshop website, which is rwny.org. On the About page, there'll be instructions to join the workshop session. And did I mention it's free for all? Once again, everybody is welcome, regardless of experience. Now, regarding the scripts we'll be reading from the workshop, they represent examples of interpreting a news story, writing from a theme, and our latest project, writing the pilot for a rebooted or reimagined TV show. So to begin this evening, in addition to the top script from the contest, we will start with one short script based on a news story, one script based on a theme, and the pilot for a reimagined Gilligan's Island. Finally, I'd like to make a few announcements. I'd like to thank our panel of judges, Mike Boas, Sean Essler, and Joanne Casey, for all their work. They all have years of experience with screenwriting and have had many of their own scripts filmed. I'd also like to thank Two Sue's Casting, Susan Azer, along with Sean Essler, for assembling this fine pool of talent. Also, Mike Boas for making tonight's YouTube live event possible, and all the actors for donating their time. And now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mike Boas, who will be your guide through the table reads. Mike?
Thank you, Wayne. Wow, so professional. It's like we've been doing this a couple times already. That's great.
Hey.
So I won't speak long. I'll get into the show here, but I just like to reiterate that since Wayne and I have been doing this for so long, we've gotten better at reviewing each other's work. We've gotten better as writers, and we also find that people who keep coming back get better because when you share what you're writing, you get something back out of it. You find out, you hear it read out loud, and you go, oh, maybe I'll change that line, or maybe that's not working. And you also get to learn about formatting scripts and that sort of thing, just to be a little more pro with the materials that you put out there. So what we're going to do tonight, we got myself as sort of an MC, getting from script to script. We're going to read our showcase ones and then our winner. And we'll also have Joanne Casey do a little bit of Q&A with our writer Allison to answer any questions. So if anyone is out there on YouTube watching and you want to comment in the comment area with some questions as we go on, go ahead, or just words of encouragement. Those are always welcome. So I'm going to hand it over now to Sean Essler, who was responsible for pulling our actors together, and he's going to tell us who's going to be reading our first script, which is one of our showcases, From Russia With, by Joanne Casey.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to the actors that are here today. Our first script is From Russia With, And in the role of Tatiana, we have Heather Dunham. As Alexander, we have Jason John Beebe. As Olga, we have Sonia Conlon. And as Natasha, we have Danielle Smith.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Okay. From Russia with, fade in, exterior Moscow, night, establishing, the Kremlin, Red Square, St. Basil's Cathedral, the old. Moving from the old to Moscow City, tall, shiny buildings, luxury, the new. Focus on one of the buildings, skyscraper apartments, the top of the structure, a light in a window. Interior, Tatiana's bedroom, continuous. A lush and palatial room. The light from unseen lamp illuminates the gold trim on the furniture and fixtures. The breathing and moans of passion at their peak, then quiet. The lamp sits on an opulent nightstand. In the bed, two bodies spooning. Tatiana Marugova, 42, looks bored as her bedmate snuggles behind her. She reaches for the clock, turns it to read 4:30. She scoops up her cigarette case. She pulls the sheet to cover her body, sits up and extracts a long cigarette.
It's time for you to go.
Tatiana lights the stick. A long drag follows with a slow exhale. Alexander Mavridi, 45, built, tattoos, exits the bed. He walks naked to where he left his pants on the floor and slips them on. Tatiana stares out the window.
I cannot see you again until after. Do not call me, Alexander.
Alexander struggles to get his shirt over his muscles. He walks over and takes her cigarette, sucks a drag and returns it, then kneels in next to her.
Now, tell me what I want to hear.
Alexander stares at the beautiful woman.
I will not kill the girlfriend.
He kisses her hand, rises and exits. Tatiana smokes and stares. Her head moves to stare at the picture frame. A photo of a younger Tatiana with her arms around the boy. She stamps out the butt in an ashtray. Two cell phones sit on the bedside table. She picks up one of the phones and dials.
It is set. You know what to do.
She listens, then hangs up. Interior, Tatiana's apartment building lobby, day. Tatiana exits the elevator. Her attire, classy and elegant, she walks with purpose to the doors. She slows as she sees a crowd of paparazzi outside the building, lining the windows. Olga Vragi, 48, all business, no frills, dressed in a suit, pushes her way into the lobby, flashes a police badge to a security guard. Olga eyes her target, approaches. Sonia's muted.
Sorry. Tatiana Marugova, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Olga Vradi from the Moscow Criminal Investigation Division. May I have a word with you regarding your ex-husband?
You are late. An officer was here last night with report of his death.
Yes. I was hoping to speak to you. Maybe we could go to your apartment?
This is not a good time. As you can imagine.
It is time sensitive, as we are investigating Vladimir Marugov's murders.
Interior, Tatiana's apartment, moments later. Tatiana walks into her apartment, followed by the lieutenant. Olga takes in the surroundings. Tatiana clocks every move of her guest.
Ask your questions. I have errands to run.
Where were you yesterday afternoon?
There was a woman with the barbarians that killed my... Was there a woman with the barbarians that killed my ex-husband?
No.
Then your question has no meaning. I was at a book signing for my latest release of poems.
Tatiana picks up a copy of the book on the table to flash at the lieutenant.
I am a lover of your work. The arts that hold the sun are empty, weak, and undone. When was the last time you saw your ex?
You have read me 10 months ago at the funeral of our son.
My condolences. His motorcycle crash was a tragedy. Had you spoken to Vladimir since the funeral?
Our divorce was tumultuous, as one could read in the tabloids. Any conversation with that man was a struggle.
Tatiana extracts her cigarette case from her purse and lights up. She offers the cigarette case to Olga.
No, thank you.
The women sit on the opposite facing sofas, far from each other.
My ex-husband was not a good man, and he was the father of my son.
We have cause to think this was a mob-tie hit made to look like a simple robbery.
What actually happened? The officer last night told me nothing, just that he was dead.
I sent Officer Petrov.
Tatiana tries to keep her cool. Olga glances at her small notepad.
Yesterday at 1440, two masked men entered the sauna at your previous address, tied up your ex-husband and his girlfriend. They demanded money. His girlfriend, Sabina Gazieva, was able to escape, ran to the house where your ex-mother-in-law called the police. Upon arrival, the police found Vladimir dead from a crossbow arrow, but not after being tortured.
Tatiana pulls tears into her eyes.
Horrible. Who would do such a dreadful thing?
The tears come more easy. Olga gives her a moment.
We have leads. A stolen van was discovered in the next town containing mask and a crossbow.
Tatiana rises and walks to the bar and pours vodka into a shot glass and shoots it back.
Would you like a drink?
Olga looks at her watch.
No, thank you.
Tatiana takes another vodka shot.
Do you know a man, Alexander Mavridi?
Yes. He works for Vladimir at one of his meat plants. Security. Why?
A person of interest. When was the last time you saw Mavridi?
Before the divorce, he worked security when Vladimir and I would go out, double as our driver. I must go now. I have preparations to make.
Tatiana takes another shot, slams the shot glass on the bar.
May I ask, what are you preparing for?
Interior, Moscow boutique, day. Tatiana sips champagne from a couch as a personal shopper brings her dresses, displays one at a time, and Tatiana waves off each one. The shopper gathers the rejects and disappears. Interior, Moscow florist, later. Tatiana converses with shopkeeper over books with photos of flower arrangements. Exterior, cemetery, dusk. Tatiana exits from the back seat of a Range Rover with the driver holding the door. She walks between large and ornate headstones. She stops at one. Insert, headstone. Viktor Marugov, April 14th, 1999 to January 13th, 2019. She pulls a long stem red rose concealed in her coat and places it on top of the headstone.
Who are you? My son.
Interior, Tatiana's apartment, night. Cell phone vibrates on top of the bar. Tatiana lifts the phone to her ear and listens.
Yes. Success. I will bring the vodka.
Tatiana ends the call. She turns to the bottles and retrieves unopened bottle of vodka. Tatiana finds her purse and extracts something. Tatiana's hand opens to reveal a small vial of liquid. Exterior hunting cabin, day. Establishing. Two cars sit outside. Smoke trails out of the cabin's chimney. Interior hunting cabin, same. On the kitchen table sits the bottle of vodka and two shot glasses. Only one of them has liquid. Alexander sits bound to a kitchen chair with duct tape slumped over, an empty gun holster strapped to his body. Tatiana stands over him. She wears gloves. Alexander slowly awakens from his drugged state, realizes he is trapped, violently jerks his arms and body to get free.
You fucking bitch! Why? I told you the truth.
Yes, my son's death, not an accident. Collateral damage from that evil Vladimir, the sausage king, and his mob war.
Tatiana picks up Alexander's pistol from the table, slowly walks in front of the helpless man.
Please, I love.
He stuffs the gun into Alexander's mouth. His eyes widen. Tatiana doesn't flinch. Cut to black. Gunshot. Exterior cemetery day. The large gathering of mourners dispersed to a long line of limousines and expensive cars. Exterior gravesite, continuous. The casket descends into the ground. Sabina Gatieva, 32, a younger version of Tatiana, stands alone, drops a long-stemmed white rose into the hole. Tatiana eases up next to Sabina and puts her arm around the grieving girlfriend. Tatiana speaks to the woman. Sabina turns and the women embrace. Tatiana releases Sabina, walks to a floral arrangement of red roses, steals one. She continues on to Natasha Marogov, 70, the matriarch, made of steel. Tatiana initiates a kiss on one cheek and then the other. The two women hold each other's stare. Their facial expressions could be hatred or grief.
God did not bless me with daughters, but now I have two.
Natasha reaches for Tatiana's hand.
Thank you for making it right.
Tatiana hands the rose to Natasha. Then she retreats to a waiting driver at the Range Rover. Natasha alone. She walks past the hole to the gravestone of her grandson. Exterior Range Rover. Tatiana glares out the window at her ex-mother-in-law. Exterior gravesite. Natasha places the rose on top of a withered one. Fade to black.
Very nice. Very nice. So, All's Well That Ends Well was Wayne's version of that script, and this one was called From Russia With. I bring up Wayne's because I'm looking back at how we put that together. Was we in the writers group we started with a news item, a news story, and the news story was about the sausage king of Russia. And forgive me if I don't get all the details, but it had something to do with getting shot with a crossbow. Was that right? Wayne, do you remember? Or Joanne, do you remember?
Yes. Yeah. And yeah.
So we start with an article and say, okay, instead of starting with a blank sheet of paper, what can we come up with? So Wayne wrote one, Joanne wrote one, I wrote one, and we fiddled around with that. And then sometimes as a writer's trick, it's rather than just staring into space and saying, what do I want to write about? You look at some strange news stories. Sometimes it's just a headline is all you need. And then you go, oh, okay. And then you research the Russian mob, or you research crossbows, or you say, well, what do I know about sausage, or whatever it is, and you try to figure out a way to go about that. All right, let's move on.
I thought the sausage king was Abe Froman.
Abe Froman, right? No, it's the sausage king of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Let's move on to the next one. The next one is another regular from our Writers Workshop is Kim Leslie, and she wrote this for a contest that was a different contest, but she did a great job with it. I think the prompt she had was it had to include sunglasses and the theme of now or never. And sometimes if you come at something with a theme in mind, you say, well, how do I prove that theme? How do I prove that premise? And that's a good way of getting off the blank page. So who do we have, Sean? Who's going to read for Best Friends?
Well, thanks, Mike. For Best Friends, casting by True Sue's Casting and Locations, we have as bartender, we have Sonia Conlon. For Samantha, we have Heather Dunham. For Boss, we have Joe Scamarella. For Bobby, we have Danielle Smith. For Brad, we have Jason John Beebe. For Pierre, we have Sean Essler, and for Officer, we have Jeff Miller.
Okay, deep breath, ready to go. Interior bar night. Samantha, 29, sits at the bar and drinks a beer. She's deep in thought, sad, melancholic.
Last call?
She looks at the bartender and gives a slight smile.
Yes.
Flashback sequence. Interior, office, day. Samantha sits in a cubicle inputting numbers into a computer. The boss approaches with a stack of file folders.
Samantha, thanks for all your hard work this week.
You're welcome.
Got time for one more?
Sure.
Great.
Boss sets the whole stack of folders on Samantha's desk and walks away.
You're welcome.
Interior, apartment, later. Roberta, Bobby, 30, edgier and sexier than Samantha, sits on the couch with a beer in her hand and an empty on the table. She wears cat-like sunglasses propped up on her head. Samantha comes home from work. You're muted.
Hey, honey, how was your day?
If I don't input those numbers, I don't input those numbers.
She sits next to Bobby on the couch.
Sammy, we need to spice up your life.
Well, I do have that date tonight.
Why don't you wear one of my dresses?
No.
Come on.
No.
Okay. At least borrow my earrings.
Okay.
Samantha goes into interior Bobby's room, continuous. Samantha takes earrings out of the drawer and holds them against her ears in the mirror. At the top of the mirror is a sign that reads, "Now or never." Taped around the outside are pictures of Bobby all over the world with exotic animals doing extreme sports, etc. Interior living room, a few minutes later. Samantha emerges from her bedroom. She wears a nice dress, not too sexy, not too conservative.
Don't think you should wear one of mine.
Maybe next time.
She heads for the door.
That's what you always say.
Samantha opens the door.
You're almost 30.
Samantha walks to the door and starts to close it.
Live a little.
Interior restaurant night. Samantha sits at a table with Brad, 30s, clean cut, conservative dress.
Nice place.
I come here every second Friday of the month.
Oh. Why the second Friday?
Because that's my routine.
Oh.
Pierre, in full sommelier attire, approaches the table.
May I offer you some wine this evening?
I would love a Chardonnay.
I'll have the same.
That's or Balter.
Now, Pierre, you know my rule. 1 drink per day. Must keep the body hydrated, you know.
Samantha smiles hesitantly and nods.
Very good, sir. 2 glasses of Chardonnay.
Interior apartment night. Bobby runs around the living room while she drinks a beer and puts on some funky black boots to go with her sexy black dress and artsy jewelry. The sunglasses are still on top of her head. Samantha plods in the front door and flops on the couch, disheartened.
Good, huh?
You know what percentage of water is the human body?
Not off the top of my head.
Do you know how much water you have to drink to offset every alcoholic beverage?
No,
Do you know?
I get the point.
Samantha makes a circular whoopee motion with her finger.
Come out with me.
Eh,
Come on. Sammy. Sammy.
okay.
Okay, great.
She pops her sunglasses down over her eyes and strikes a pose. Interior bar night. A DJ plays loud dance music. A packed crowd dances. Samantha and Bobby make their way to the bar.
2 beers and 2 tequilas.
1 tequila.
2 tequilas.
The bartender pours 2 tequilas and gives them 2 beers. Bobby does the tequila shot. Samantha shakes her head no.
Suit yourself.
Bobby does the second tequila shot. A man walks up to Bobby and asks her to dance. She grabs her beer and heads off to the dance floor. Samantha slowly drinks her beer and watches Bobby dance wildly on the dance floor. Interior office day. Samantha inputs numbers at her cubicle. The boss approaches with a stack of folders.
Good weekend, Samantha?
Great, boss. And you?
Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. Thanks for asking. Almost done there?
Sure.
Great. One more?
Sure.
The boss sets down the stack of folders and walks away. Samantha shakes her head and grabs the folders. Exterior apartment building later. Ambulance and police cars outside. Interior apartment building hallway. Police outside her door.
What's going on?
You live here?
Yes. What's going on? Where's Bobby?
Is Roberta Jones your roommate?
Yes, Roberta. Bobby.
Sorry to have to tell you that Miss Jones had a heart attack.
A heart attack? She's only 30.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Where is she? Is she okay?
I'm sorry to inform you that Miss Jones passed away at 5:22 p.m.
What? You're kidding. She's only 30. She's healthy. She travels. She's 30.
She stands in the hallway in shock. End flashback sequence. Interior bar night. Continues from scene 1. Samantha sits at the bar.
Tequila and a beer.
The bartender gets the drinks.
Tequila and the beer.
The bartender sets the tequila and beer in front of Samantha.
The shot's on me. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
She looks at the shot and smiles. She lifts the glass as if in a toast and drinks the tequila. She reaches in her purse and pulls out Bobby's sunglasses. She puts on the sunglasses. She smiles. She drinks her beer. Fade out.
All right. You know, the thing about Zoom is it's hard to applaud all at once, but I'm doing the virtual applause here. Great job, guys. It's a touching piece. I think when Kim brought that to our group, we all enjoyed it quite a bit. All right. So what's next on my list? Let's take a look here. We went through Best Friends just now. So now we have Gilligan's Island. So the idea here, as we talked a little about earlier, is like, all right, what if we did a little exercise with our group where we say, let's take a show that's off the air, and reimagine it as if we're going to put it on the air today. So we were thinking about, several years ago, like Battlestar Galactica got a reboot, or right now Quantum Leap is on the air again, and they decided to sort of make sort of a sequel to the old show, but it's really a reboot. You don't have to have seen the old show. So we went back and forth a couple of weeks, and we said, all right, what's a short list of shows that we all sort of know about, but we don't have to know by heart to actually sort of come up with a new take on them. And we fiddled around with a couple ideas, and we came up with, all right, let's do Gilligan's Island. Everyone knows it's 7 people. They are on a 3-hour cruise or whatever, and they get it stranded on an island. And then what? Well, what's the core idea? I mean, that's the plot, but what is really the show about, right? And so we said, well, the theme of the show is really how to, people working together, overcoming their differences to work together. Even though they have some differences, they, as sort of a microcosm of the human race, we have to work together. And so if you think about it that way, it doesn't just have to be a sitcom. It doesn't just have to be comedy. Those sort of themes can carry over to drama or other genres as well. And it could also represent something of America today. We have to overcome our differences in order to move forward. So suddenly Gilligan's Island isn't so, silly anymore, is it? So Wayne went ahead and outlined a possible episode. We thought, well, let's start with a pilot episode. Who are our characters? And how is this show going to be a little different than we've seen before? let's see, what am I missing here? So I guess, Wayne, you're saying it incorporates sort of elements of Lost or Robinson Crusoe or Swiss Family Robinson, that sort of thing. So it's not just a comedy. So we have a pilot episode.
Here we go.
Let me turn it over to Sean. Sean, you can tell me who's reading. And,
Yes, absolutely. We have a cast here, cast provided by Two Sue's Casting and Locations. For the Gilligan's Island pilot, as Gilligan, we have Jason John Beebe. As Gus, we have Mike Boas. As the 911 operator, we have Joanne Casey. As Skip, we have Joe Scamarella. As Roy, we have Sean Essler. As Marianne, we have Heather Dunham. As Thomas, we have Jeff Miller. As Esther, we have Sonia Collin. As Ginger, we have Danielle Smith. And a special appearance by the Harlem Globetrotters.
Okay, everybody take a deep breath, and we're off. Teaser. Exterior, Speedway Convenience Store, Harbor Inlet Drive, morning. Superimpose, Fort Lauderdale, 8:06 a.m. The street and parking lot are quiet except for a few people entering Speedway to get their morning coffee. Will Gilligan, 25, hides at the back corner of the building. He wears jeans and a hoodie. He is nervous. He looks at the pistol in his hand. Taking a deep breath, he pulls the COVID surgical style mask over his face, pulls the hood over his head. He walks toward the entrance to Speedway. Interior Speedway. The door bursts open and Gilligan enters brandishing his weapon.
Okay. Nobody do nothing and nobody gets hurt.
The three patrons and Gus, the counterman, look in fear. They all raise their hands.
all right, everybody be calm. Just do what he says. Hey, it's early. I don't have much cash in the till, but you can have it all.
Gilligan nervously waves his gun around the patrons, toward the patrons.
I don't want your cash. Give me a bag.
Yeah, okay, pal. Here.
Gus holds out a plastic bag to Gilligan.
You got a bigger one?
Gus takes the bag back and frantically looks around below the counter.
I don't see.
Garbage bag. You got a garbage bag?
Oh, yeah.
Gus hands Gilligan a black plastic garbage bag. Gilligan grabs it. During the exchange, one of the patrons slowly moves toward the door. Gilligan notices. He spins around and brandishes his gun again.
What are you doing? Get back over there with the others.
The frightened patron returns.
Okay. Now, if nobody does nothing stupid, you can all go about your day in a few minutes.
Gilligan crosses to the shelves and starts tossing food items into the bag.
Okay. Everybody go to the counter so I can see you.
The patrons comply. Gilligan moves down the aisles, tossing cans of soup, vegetables, and other food items in the bag.
Hey, you got any fruit?
Yeah, over in the back corner.
Gilligan goes to the indicated area and starts putting apples and oranges in the bag. Gilligan is the farthest away from the patrons and Gus. Gus slowly pulls out a cell phone and dials 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Excuse me, sir. Are you almost done robbing us?
Gilligan looks up.
What kind of question is that? Yeah, just, hey, you got any bread?
Yeah, on the shelves, over there.
As Gilligan crosses to the shelves, a siren is heard.
What's that?
Oh, nothing.
Exterior Speedway. Police cars pull up into the Speedway lot. Policemen exit the vehicles and take defensive positions. Interior Speedway. Gilligan sees the police.
Oh, no.
Gilligan's frantic. He drops the bag. He looks around and spies a rear door. He stuffs the pistol into his hoodie pocket.
Listen, I'm really, really sorry.
Gilligan bolts for the rear door. He opens it. He looks back at Gus and the patrons.
Sorry.
Gilligan runs out of the store. Fade to black. Act 1. Exterior, Slipway Yacht Charters, Southeast 17th Street. Superimpose. Slipway Yacht Charters, 8:32 a.m. Slipway Yacht Charters is a second-class charter boat rental company. Exterior, Slipway Boatyard. Moored in the last slip is the SS Minnow, an older Beneteau Swift Trawler 50. Exterior, last slip. There are 5 people standing in the stern of the boat. Roy Hinckley, 28, dressed conservatively, glasses, slacks, and a button-down shirt. Marianne Summers, 23, peasant top and shorts. Thomas Howell, 55, and his wife Esther, 53, both dressed in what the lower middle class thinks the rich dress like on vacation. He's got a straw Panama hat and she has a floppy sun hat. Ginger Grant, 35, dressed more for a night on the town than a cruise. Standing facing the group is Captain Jonas Skip Grumby, 45, dressed in working sailor clothes and a captain's hat.
Good morning. I'm Captain Grumby, and welcome aboard the SS Minnow and the best tour cruise out of Fort Lauderdale.
Roy raises his hand.
Oh, Captain?
Yes, sir. And you are?
Roy Hinckley. And this is my girlfriend, Marianne.
Nice to meet you. You have a question?
Yes. If you can tell me the average speed of the vessel, drag, and...
Why don't you let me worry about all that nautical stuff?
But...
Roy, just relax, okay?
Roy is not happy but quiets down.
Okay.
Exterior slipway boatyard. Gilligan appears at the beginning of the dock. He frantically looks around and starts running toward the minnow. Exterior, last slip.
Good. Anything else?
Thomas raises his hand.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Thomas Howell, and this is my wife, Esther. I was wondering, are you the only crew? Is there a steward or a waiter or something? Will there be refreshments?
Boy, have you got a lot of questions. Well, here goes. I'm the only other one on board. And because this is only a 3-hour tour, we have bottled water on the ice chest here.
Skip indicates the ice chest.
But no food or drinks. It is the morning, you know.
Thomas looks concerned.
It's okay, dear.
Just wanted to give you a first-class adventure, lovey.
Esther smiles.
Thomas, this is an adventure.
Thomas smiles back to Skip.
Sorry, Captain, it's just, we won the lottery. $500,000, and this is the first vacation we've had in 30 years. I just wanted it to be special for Esther.
Thomas, it is special.
She gives Thomas a kiss on the cheek. Thomas smiles.
Well, now, that leaves just you.
He points to Ginger and consults his clipboard.
Let's see, you must be Ginger Grant. You might be a little overdressed for today's activities.
Don't talk to me. I'm still hungover from last night.
Suddenly, Gilligan arrives.
Skip.
Gilligan? What's up, buddy? I'm just starting a tour.
Gilligan takes the gun from his pocket and points it at the group.
Okay. Everybody sit down.
Young man, there's no...
Gilligan points the gun directly at Thomas.
Shut up and sit.
Grumbling, the group sits in the benches around the stern of the minnow. Skip looks at Gilligan.
Buddy, what's going on?
You got to help me. I screwed up big time.
Okay, but this isn't the way.
It's the only way. I got to think. Go to the bridge and get us out of here to the ocean.
Okay, just don't do anything foolish.
Skip goes to the bridge. Gilligan boards the boat and sits at the stern facing the passengers.
Everybody just sit still. I got to think. And no monkey business.
Interior minnow later. Gilligan looks back as the shore recedes in the distance. Skip enters the stern area.
What's the plan, Gilligan?
You got to get out past the 12-mile limit.
Wait, that's the open water.
No talking.
Why that far? The minnow's not built for that.
The cops are after me. I did something stupid. I got to figure it out.
Gilligan.
Please, just do it.
Skip buys the gun.
Okay, buddy. Just don't hurt any of the passengers. They didn't do anything wrong.
Skip returns to the bridge. Ginger rises.
Where are you going?
Get some water. I'm dehydrated as hell. Hey, you're cute. Want me to sit by you? Maybe you can buy me a drink.
No. Just get your water.
Your loss.
Ginger gets the water and sits.
Young man.
Gilligan looks at Roy.
Yeah.
Hi. I teach high school back in Ohio, and I've seen trouble youths like you before. Why don't you?
Young man, you're my age, dude. Why don't you just shut the hell up? You people are always trying to tell me what to do. Just shut up.
Esther waves at Gilligan.
Hello? Hello?
Lovey, don't.
It's okay, Thomas.
Gilligan looks at Esther.
What do you want?
I just want to say that no one here wants to hurt you. I know a lot of young people too. I also work at a school.
Are you another teacher?
No. I worked in the cafeteria.
You were a lunch lady?
Yes, for many years.
Gilligan's face softens.
My mom was a lunch lady
Really?
Gilligan's demeanor changes.
until she died when I was 10.
Oh, no. That's terrible. I'm so sorry.
I don't want to talk about it. Please.
It begins to get darker.
Look at those clouds. Are they moving toward us?
They look like cumulonimbus clouds. They indicate a big meteorological disturbance.
A what?
Skip enters and points.
A storm.
The minnow begins to rock. The ocean later. The minnow is now being tossed on the waves, battered by winds and pelted by rain. Interior minnow. Skip is valiantly trying to maintain control of the boat.
Everybody hold on.
The passengers grab any available handhold, except for Ginger. She falls over and slides across the deck. Gilligan jumps up and grabs her. He pulls her close and grabs a hold of a rope.
So now you want to play?
Just hold on.
A big wave crashes into the boat, forcing it under. Fade to black. Act 2. Exterior, the island, the beach. Bright sunshine. The minnow is aground with a large hole in the hull. There are 7 bodies on the beach. Roy, Marianne, Thomas, Esther, and Skip are standing and walking around. Gilligan and Ginger are laying down. Gilligan starts to awaken.
Don't move, punk.
Gilligan looks toward the voice. Thomas stands over Gilligan holding the gun. He is pointing it at Gilligan. Thomas is nervous and shaking. Ginger sits up.
Whoa, that was something.
She notices the gun.
Hey, you know how to use that thing?
Yeah. We have one under the counter at the store, just like for hoodlums like him.
Skip grabs the gun from Thomas.
Yeah, sure you do. The safety's still on. At least you couldn't kill anybody.
Nobody could kill anybody with it. It's a BB gun replica.
They all stare at Gilligan. Gilligan starts to rise. Skip starts to laugh.
No shit.
What's so funny?
Well, not so much funny as ironic.
You held us hostage with a toy.
I don't see anything of any kind of humor in what that criminal did.
Oh, Thomas, we're still all right, and we'll be rescued soon anyway.
A toy. I don't believe it.
Come on, Roy. We've got bigger things to worry about.
Everyone, she's right. Let's talk about what we're going to do next. We may have to survive here for a bit before...
Gilligan helps Ginger to her feet.
Is this part of the tour? Because let me tell you, this sucks.
The beach by the minnow later. 6 castaways sit in a circle in the sand by the wreckage of the minnow. General hubbub. Gilligan sits apart from the group about 30 feet down the beach.
Okay, quiet down, please.
The chatter subsides.
Does anyone know where we are?
Well, based on the position of the sun.
No, we're somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle. We were traveling east. The wind was out of the west, and, well, the triangle was due east of us.
I knew that.
Roy, stop it.
All I know is that this is not what we paid for. When we get rescued, I want a refund.
All I know is that this sure sobered me up.
Skip claps his hands.
Okay, people. I don't know when we'll be rescued, so let's start making some plans.
What do we need?
Yeah, tell us what we need and we'll find it.
Find it? Find what? I was the manager of an appliance store.
Assistant.
Yeah, assistant manager. I don't know what we need or where to find it if it's not in aisle 3.
Well, at least you have me. Back in Ohio, I was a science teacher. I have plenty of knowledge in the field.
Excuse me, I think it's called a jungle, not a field.
Roy scowls.
There's no time for your jokes, babe. I know you like to tinker and fixing cars and you think you know things, but this is serious.
And this isn't a classroom, babe. So why don't you shut up and listen? You might really learn something.
Marianne rises and storms off down the beach toward Gilligan.
Marianne!
Well, this is getting off to a rousing start.
Skip claps his hand.
People, if we're going to survive, we have to work together. Let's all calm down. We have a situation here. We need food, water, shelter.
I can cook and anything else you need me to do.
Lovey, we're rich. This was supposed to be a vacation until he showed up.
Thomas points toward Gilligan.
Yeah, what are we going to do about him?
Yeah, this is all his fault.
Down the beach, Gilligan looks over toward the group. He has a sheepish look on his face. He goes back to making circles in the sand. There are tears in his eyes. The beach by the minnow. Skip tries to diffuse the situation.
Can we get back to the business at hand? Accusation will not help our situation.
Roy rises and points at Gilligan.
But not with that criminal around.
Thomas rises and starts to walk toward Gilligan. The rest start to follow with Skip and Esther at the back. Down the beach, Gilligan notices the group approaching and stands up. The beach by the minnow. Thomas, halfway to Gilligan, stops and turns to the group.
Thomas, think for a moment.
I did. And Roy is right. You all remember what happened. He's a terrorist.
Oh, Thomas, don't be so dramatic. Please.
Nice. Nice. He kidnapped us at gunpoint. What's nice about that?
He did try to save me during the storm.
We have to protect ourselves. Skip, do you have handcuffs, chains? What are they called on the boat? Irons.
Oh, slow down, cowboy. Our first thoughts should be toward surviving, not punishment. We need everyone.
Seeing the commotion, Marianne approaches.
Skip's right. This isn't Fort Lauderdale. No one is going back to their hotel room to sleep or out to dinner.
The group turns toward Marianne.
We are here, marooned. We need to focus on things to ensure our survival until we get rescued. And by we, I mean everybody. We are all in this together.
But
nothing, Roy.
Well, I think we have to do something.
Why don't we do something that helps? Right, Marianne? Was it?
Yeah.
I'm Esther, and this paragon of testing is my husband, Thomas.
I remember from the doc, lottery winner.
Oh, yeah? I think everyone in Fort Lauderdale knows.
Marianne and Esther share a laugh. Suddenly, Gilligan reaches the group.
Everybody, please. I'm sorry. I never wanted any of this to happen. I was just scared. I made a mistake. I'm sorry.
you'll be a lot more sorry in jail.
No, I'm sorry.
Gilligan runs off into the jungle.
Buddy, wait!
Good riddance.
You didn't hear a thing I said, did you?
Marianne walks back to where they were sitting.
Maybe he'll be eaten by a tiger. Problem solved.
Esther hits Thomas in the arm.
Man,
Esther follows Mary Ann.
I have to go find him. Can I trust you two not to call out the cavalry or the Avengers?
Yes.
Skip follows Gilligan into the jungle.
You know we'll have to keep an eye on the kid if he brings him back, right?
Definitely.
Ginger starts walking back to the minnow.
I need a drink.
Fade to black. Act 3, exterior of the jungle. Gilligan walks through the jungle, head down, sad. Suddenly,
Gilligan! Gilligan!
Gilligan stops. Skip arrives.
Hi, Skip. You gonna yell at me too? Tell me what a loser I am?
Skip
Come
puts his
on.
hand on Gilligan's shoulder.
Come on, buddy, let's walk.
They start walking.
Listen, buddy, they're all just scared. They really don't mean anything.
No, they did. And they're right. We wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for me.
They arrive in exterior of the clearing.
Come here. Sit down on the log.
Gilligan sits.
All of us just have to focus on now. Once I get those 2 problem children on board, everything will be A-okay. The others already get it, except for maybe that Grant woman. I don't think she even knows we're shipwrecked.
Skip laughs and sits next to Gilligan.
Well, okay, buddy.
Gilligan looks at the ground.
I guess.
They sit in silence until
I gotta ask, what was with the gun? You robbed somebody, you didn't.
What? Try to kill someone? With a BB gun?
So what happened? The gun?
Gilligan stands and starts to pace.
Yeah. One of the kids I live with had it.
You live with kids?
In
Where?
a squat downtown.
You're homeless?
Yeah.
Since when?
Last year. My job, I couldn't afford rent.
So you were going to steal cash?
No, the kids. There were 3 of them. They weren't working steady either. We hadn't eaten in almost a week.
Hell, that's rough.
Yeah. I'd hear them cry themselves to sleep. I couldn't take it. So
So,
I took the gun and hit the speedway on Harbor Inlet for groceries.
what happened?
While I was filling the bag, the cops showed up. I dropped the bag and bolted, ran to the minnow.
I get it.
A rustling sound from outside the clearing. Gilligan stands.
Did you hear that?
Down the beach. Tom and Roy are in deep conversation. Mary Ann and Esther walk up.
What are you 2 talking about? You look like you're plotting to overthrow a small South American country.
oh, I think Tom would be involved.
Joking, Esther. Joking.
Roy approaches Mary Ann.
You gotta listen to me, babe. This is serious. That Gilligan kid is dangerous.
Roy,
He's crazy. Look what he caused.
Thomas gestures toward the minnow.
is that all you can focus on? We have bigger problems right now, like food, water, and shelter.
Now, see here, little lady.
Mess.
Mary Ann turns angrily to Thomas.
Don't little lady me, you old fart.
Roy grabs Mary Ann by the shoulders and turns her to face him.
Mary Ann, calm down.
Mary Ann slaps Roy, knocking his glasses to the ground.
Do not tell me to calm down.
Roy picks up his glasses.
And when you're ready to be serious, come see me. Otherwise,
Mary Ann turns toward the minnow.
coming, Esther?
Oh my. Yeah. And same to you, Thomas.
They walk toward the minnow.
Bitch.
The beach by the minnow. Ginger is frantically searching the boat. Mary Ann and Esther arrive.
What you looking for?
Ginger looks up.
Nothing.
She continues to search.
That's a lot of looking for nothing.
Yeah, well, you don't understand.
Marianne approaches Ginger.
Hey, make us understand. Maybe we can help.
Ginger stops looking and sits.
Who am I trying to kid? Alcohol. You think a sea captain would have some stashed around here somewhere.
Marianne and Esther sit on either side of Ginger.
You realize that getting drunk won't get us off this island.
You've seen trouble. Tell us why.
It's a long story.
We have plenty of time.
Esther chuckles.
Mhm.
Yeah, come on, spill.
Ginger takes a deep breath.
Okay. I was dating my boss at the car dealership, and when I found out he was married, I got angry and I threatened to tell his wife, and then he fired me.
Wasn't so long.
I guess not. So here I am on vacation trying to forget him, my lost job, the fact I'm getting evicted from my apartment, and
what?
I think I might be pregnant.
Oh my.
Exterior of the clearing. Skip and Gilligan stand in the center of the clearing, back to back. They circle as they scan the jungle.
See anything?
Nope. Maybe whatever it was is gone.
They relax and return to the log and sit.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just jumpy. Maybe it was nothing.
Wait a second.
Skip rises and starts to inspect the clearing. Gilligan rises.
What is it?
There's something weird about this clearing.
Gilligan looks around, confused. Suddenly,
Here, look here.
Gilligan goes to Skip and looks.
I don't see anything.
Skip points to a
Here.
downed tree.
Here, see that tree?
Yeah,
It didn't fall down.
it didn't.
Nope. Look, it was cut down.
Act 4. Exterior of the clearing. Skip and Gilligan stare at the downed tree.
Are you sure?
Yep. See those marks, how it's cut? That's from some kind of axe.
Gilligan frantically scans the surrounding jungle.
Do you think they're watching us right now?
Well, if they were, they would have attacked already.
We have to get back and warn the others.
Hold on, little buddy. Let's think this through. We don't want to cause another panic.
Well, then what are we going to do? What's the plan?
Skip shakes his head.
I don't really know.
The beach by the minnow. Marianne and Esther stand around seated Ginger.
Pregnant? You sure?
No, but
Ginger trails off. Then
Come on. Don't be a gloomy, Gus. It will be fine. You see, we'll be rescued soon and,
Really, Esther? You know this for a fact.
well,
We can't just stick our heads in the sand, wishing and hoping that help is right around the corner. We need to be prepared.
Esther pulls Marianne aside.
poor girl is upset. I'm just trying to calm her down.
you know I can hear you. I'm sitting right here.
Esther and Marianne turn and look at Ginger.
Ugh, sorry.
So what's your big idea?
Down the beach. Roy and Thomas are talking.
Is she going to be a problem?
No, Esther does whatever I tell her. What about Mary Ann?
I can handle her.
Oh, I noticed. How's your cheek?
Roy rubs the spot where Marianne slapped him.
It's nothing. She just likes to assert herself once in a while, makes her feel important. She'll fall in the line. I guarantee it.
You say so.
Thomas looks over toward the minnow.
I wonder what those three are talking about.
Roy laughs.
Probably recipes or makeup. Let's go over it and do some damage control.
Thomas nods. They start off toward the minnow. Exterior of the jungle. Skip and Gilligan are walking through the jungle toward the beach.
Okay, you know what the plan is?
Yeah, Skip. We don't say anything about what we saw
Because
because we need to focus on the immediate problems.
good. One more thing. Let me do the talking. Okay?
Sure, Skip. They hate me anyways.
Skip and Gilligan emerge from the jungle. Down the beach. They notice the other 5 castaways near the wreck of the minnow in heated discussion. Skip grabs Gilligan's arm.
Hold on.
He points to the group. The beach by the minnow. Ginger sits on the wreckage. Thomas and Esther stand next to each other. Roy and Mary Ann face each other, arguing.
And if you ever grab me like that again, I'll do more than slap you.
I'm sorry, but be reasonable. You know that I know more than most people. I'm just trying to give the benefit of my knowledge to help.
Your knowledge. Right. The genius. Mr. Know-it-all. Hey, I know what. From now on, we'll call you the professor. How about that, everyone? Meet the professor.
Hello, Professor.
Now, Esther, don't be silly.
I'm not being silly. I agree with Mary Ann.
Ginger starts to laugh.
Oh, God. This is better than television.
Roy looks around, then turns back to Mary Ann.
Come on now. Don't be foolish. Look at what you're causing.
Foolish? Foolish? Certainly not, Professor. No, sirree, Bob.
Mary Ann walks away and sits by Ginger. Skip and Gilligan arrive.
Hi. Look who I found. Did we miss much?
Everyone heads turn to look at Skip.
Well, I've been doing some thinking about our situation and maritime law.
What?
Explain, please.
Oh, yes, explain to the great professor.
Roy scowls at Mary Ann.
Oh, well, you see, according to maritime law, the captain of the shipwrecked vessel is legally in charge until such time that rescue becomes unlikely, and the castaways form some sort of government with free elections.
That doesn't sound right.
Oh, it is. You can look it up when we get back. You know.
The group starts to grumble.
Okay, boss. What should we do first?
If we're going to survive long enough to get rescued, we need a leader with a plan. I'm in.
Great.
Okay, for now.
Esther and I are on board, Captain.
Ginger looks up.
If you tell me where you hid your booze, you got me.
Sorry, I don't drink, but it is in your best interest to help, and hopefully we won't be stuck here too long.
Ginger thinks.
Okay.
Now, this is what we have to do.
Dissolve to the beach by the minnow later. Roy and Thomas are near the minnow with a tarp. They are trying to rig something to catch rainwater.
See, if we angle it this way, rainwater will collect it in the tarp, run down to this corner, and pour into that bucket.
Pretty smart, Professor.
Thomas smiles, then Roy does too.
Don't tell anyone, but I'm starting to like that nickname.
Down the beach, Esther and Ginger are knee-deep in the ocean. Esther carries a stick with a sharpened end, and Ginger has a burlap bag.
Just pick up any clams or shellfish and put them in your bag. I'll see if I can stab any fish.
Good luck.
The beach by the minnow. Skip works on the radio. He clicks the mic.
Hello? Hello? This is Captain Grumby of the SS Minnow. Hello?
He drops the mic.
Shit. Nothing.
He looks over at Roy and Thomas, who are staring at him. Skip smiles and waves at them. He picks up the mic again.
Come on, work, you SOB.
Roy and Thomas go back to work. Roy looks down the beach and sees Gilligan and Marianne walking and talking together. Gilligan carries a hatchet.
I don't know why you let her pair up with them. Isn't that dangerous?
She can take care of herself. Besides, it would serve her right.
That's pretty harsh.
She's got to learn. She's got a good thing with me. She just doesn't appreciate it.
But look, he's got a hatchet.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe.
Down the beach, Gilligan and Marianne are talking as they enter exterior of the jungle. As they walk, they're picking up large fronds to use as cover for the shelter as Gilligan chops them with a hatchet. They arrive at exterior, the clearing.
Hey, you want to sit for a bit?
Such a poet.
Gilligan smiles sheepishly.
Yeah, well, sometimes, I guess.
Marianne laughs and sits. She pats the seat next to her.
Come on, sit.
Gilligan sits. They sit silently for a moment, then
You have to tell me, what was going on when you, I don't know, took us hostage?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, you don't seem like a desperate criminal. There's got to be more to your story.
Well,
exterior of the jungle. Roy sneaks through the jungle toward the clearing. He can hear them talking. He gets to the edge and looks into the clearing, seeing Marianne and Gilligan sitting next to each other. She puts her arm around Gilligan. Roy's about to charge in when he is hit in the head by a club. He's dragged off into the jungle. Exterior of the clearing. Marianne and Gilligan hear a commotion from the jungle.
What was that?
I don't know.
He rises and walks toward the sound. Marianne follows. Exterior of the jungle. They look around and see the disturbed foliage. Marianne looks down and notices something and picks it up.
Wait, these are Roy's glasses. What?
He must have been spying on us.
Why? And why would he leave his glasses? I don't understand.
Gilligan looks off into the jungle.
Remember when Skip and I came back from the jungle?
Yeah, and
Well, there may have been something that we didn't mention.
Marianne looks at Gilligan quizzically. Fade to black. End of episode.
All right. Virtual applause then. Virtual applause. All right. So, and an example of something we're doing in the workshop. So Wayne is a little ahead of us. I'm still working on my premise and my outline. We have some other people that are writing their versions of it. So, future Rochester Writers Workshop meetings, anyone can jump in if they want to. What's funny, and I want to talk a little bit about what goes into that. So after we came up with sort of the premise of the show, what's the show going to be? What's it about? What's the theme? Then the idea is, what's the arc of an episode? And specifically the first episode, because a pilot episode is trickier to do in a lot of ways than just a regular, monster of the week sort of episode or problem of the week episode. So you had to set up all the characters, and you also have to set up what the show would be like. So you do that, and you come up with, all right, what are the characters going to be? What are the arcs for those characters? What are they going to go through? How are they going to be different, or how is the situation going to be different from the beginning to the end of the episode? And then you go through and you do a treatment. All right, write in one page everything you think that should happen. Just sort of get it all out there on a page. Get some feedback, and then come back to it and say, okay, now do it as an outline and sort of story beats. So you have, all right, this scene, and this scene, and this scene, so you can plan it all out. And Wayne did a good job with that too, because he was trying to, you got 7 characters to juggle. If you have 7 characters in every scene, someone is going to get the short shrift. So he quickly sort of, once they got shipwrecked, he broke it up so that there were like 3 different groups. And you could bounce back and forth between each one of them, and they each had their own sort of mini story that they were trying to accomplish. And then he did the other thing that we sometimes don't think of if we're writing a feature film, but if you're writing a TV show for broadcast TV, which was sort of our goal here. We said, should we make it for cable with no commercials, or should we make it for broadcast? How about that for a challenge? Okay, then you got to think about acts. What's your teaser, act 1, act 2, act 3? Because when you go to commercial, you want to have some sort of cliffhanger sort of moment. So it's kind of like, oh, what's that in the bushes over there? Dun, dun, dun. And then we go to the commercial. So that was something that Wayne built in there. So we're all, the rest of us are struggling to keep up. We'll be doing that in upcoming weeks, as well as, hey, if we're working on something else, we bring it to the group. And, we're not just all doing Gilligan's Island all the time. We have other things we're doing too, and we're open to that. But we do spend a little time on that. Okay, so
I just want to, before you move on to the feature event
yes,
of the evening, it's really important, and that's why we focus on exercises a lot, and we encourage people. We don't force people to do anything. We encourage them, because script writing ain't easy. A lot of people go, I want to get in the movies. Let me be a script writer. Well, it's like tough. It's the blueprint for the entire movie or the entire show. And there are elements of it, like the ability to write believable dialogue, the ability to realize that no matter what you write in those action blocks, the audience doesn't know about it. You got to get it into the visuals or into the mouths of your characters. Plotting, theme. What's the theme? What are you what's important enough to you to spend months on a 90-page script? What's the major thing you're trying to tell them? I always go back to, you can't always get what you want. It's a great theme, because that has built-in conflict. You're trying for something, then you find out that you want something else at the end. So there's so many different elements to screenwriting that a lot of people never get to, because they're focused on telling that story. I got this great story about a lion escapes in the city, and he runs through and he eats all these people, and he breaks into Macy's, and and you have all that kind of stuff going on. But what's it about? And Mike will tell you, what's my big question to every screenwriter when they bring a script. What's it about? And if you can't tell me in 2 sentences what it's about, you don't know what it's about.
It's about life, love, and friendship.
Oh, very good. No, but you know what I mean? We've had people come in, what's your thing about? And 20 minutes later, they're still telling us what, and then, well, that's plot. There's plot, character, and theme. And it's the reason why you're writing it. What are you passionate enough about to spend all this time communicating to people you don't know in a darkened theater? So that's it. Back to Mike.
Thank you, Wayne. All right. Let's move on to our Scriptitude winner. Pardon me. Our 2022 Scriptitude winner, Allison Rocket Ross, with the script Usurpation. And this is a chance, if anyone's watching on YouTube, you can throw some comments in, some questions, because Allison is here and Joanne will be talking to her afterwards, after we read Usurpation. All right. Sean.
Okay, the cast list for Usurpation, supplied by Two Sue's Casting Locations. Just a quick plug. For anybody working in film in Western Central New York, needing cast or locations for your film, reach out to Susan Azer at Two Sue's Casting Location, supplying for films, television shows, and web series all across the Western Central New York region. And our cast list for Usurpation: as victim, we have Danielle Smith. As killer, we have Jeff Miller. As orderly, we have Joe Scamarella, and as psychiatrist, we have Sonia Conlon.
Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Usurpation. Fade in. Interior, abandoned house, night. Close up on a knife pressed into the fleshy part of a cheek. The cheek belongs to victim, a woman in her 30s. She sits against the beam in a dimly lit room with concrete floors. Her hands are tied behind her back around the beam. Killer, a man roughly the same age, clean cut and in all black, towers over her. Victim sighs in relief and closes her eyes as killer presses the knife deeper into her flesh. It does not break the skin. She smiles, As she opens her eyes, Killer stares her down. She furrows her brow in confusion.
What are you waiting for?
Killer takes a step back and white knuckles the knife. We see the walls are lined with filing boxes and one large bin. Clean clothes and a jacket are folded on top of the bin.
Get on with it.
Killer turns the blade in his hand and sees his reflection. With his eyes on himself, he speaks.
Do you know who I am?
I can guess.
So you know what happens next.
Is this part of it? All of this talking?
Killer drops the knife by his feet. He takes a breath, a moment to steady himself.
Yeah, there's a bit of talking. Then the real fun begins.
He cracks his knuckles and slides a toolbox in front of her with his foot.
Do you need me to inspect them?
He leans forward and peers into the toolbox.
Very nice. Clean and everything. Those will do.
Killer clenches his teeth and balls up his fists. His eyes glisten on the verge of tears. He kicks the knife and it disappears into the shadow of the toolbox.
It can't be this hard. You've done it, what, like a dozen times?
Killer kicks the toolbox away and sits down facing victim. He looks her dead in the eye.
Just do something. I'm ready.
Why aren't you afraid?
Victim breaks eye contact and squirms in her binds.
Come on now. Don't be shy. It's just us.
Come on now, don't be shy. It's just us.
Killer smiles at her frustration.
I asked, didn't I?
Victim stares at the floor for a beat and clears her throat. She prepares herself to tell him the truth.
I fear oblivion. Being sucked up into the void, forgotten by even myself. So yeah, I'm afraid, just not of you, not of death.
Damn.
What were you expecting me to say?
Not that. That.
Victim looks up at her captor and cocks her head. He takes a moment to process.
Makes a little too much sense.
I don't care. I'm done. I'm over it. Do what you gotta do.
Killer looks longingly at the lines of boxes against the wall.
You're bored. That's all. You want it to mean something.
He shakes his head and chuckles under his breath. He leans forward with his wrists on his knees.
The last girl I had in here, she screamed until she lost her voice. It was just a whisper at the end. But that whisper, you heard it. The whole world heard it. And I wasn't bored anymore. The best part, everyone saw what I did. They know exactly who I am.
Victim shakes her head. Her body tenses.
You're a pseudonym, nothing more.
For now.
She looks at him and opens her mouth, but no words come out. The killer's eyes light up.
I'm the one they'll write about in history books. My victims.
Killer loosens his muscles and lets his jaw relax.
They'll fade into the background soon enough. Now that's impactful, don't you think?
Victim rolls her eyes.
Just kill me.
You don't scream.
Let me try again.
He finds the knife and crouches close to victim. They lock eyes for a beat. Then he cuts her binds.
You're free to go. Or you can stay. I can teach you.
Teach me?
Or you could leave.
What if I go to the cops?
Do it. I dare you. You'll have your 15 minutes of fame. But it'll end there. You'll never top catching the matchstick killer. They'll bury you under it. That's not what you want.
You don't know what I want.
Killer laughs and sits back down. He strokes the blade of his knife and smiles as it shines. Victim stands up and stretches her legs. She rubs her wrists and ankles, inspecting them for cuts and rope burn. There are no noticeable marks. Killer watches her with soft eyes, then offers his knife. She grabs the handle and stares at her reflection in the blade.
I'd rather be dead.
Killer looks up to her with a crooked smile.
Then you should have screamed.
Victim balls up her fists and paces. She eyes the boxes and takes in the architecture of the room, then crouches in front of Killer.
Please.
You'll be a headline for a week and nothing more. I won't do that to you.
Victim presses the knife back into the killer's hands.
Do this, or the world will never know your name. I can promise you that.
Killer chucks the knife over his shoulder, hits the floor with a clank. Victim towers over Killer, then pounces and slams his head on the ground, knocking him unconscious. Interior, abandoned house, night. Killer wakes up sitting against the beam with his hands tied behind his back. He laughs quietly to himself, thinking he won her over. Victim meticulously walks the perimeter of the room. She looks in every box and strokes the walls with her fingertips. Killer casually crosses his legs and stretches his fingers to touch the weathered rope that binds him.
Now you're getting it.
Victim continues to sift through the boxes. She throws the clothes off the large bin and pulls out a blue tarp stained with dry blood.
You should burn that. Fire and bleach. Leave no evidence behind. Oh, and gloves. Gloves are vital.
Victim takes the tarp and smears blood from Killer's head on it.
Ah, yes. The theatrics of it. Can you feel the anticipation building? I sure can.
Victim scoots the tarp under Killer's legs. She stands back to take in the view, then looks at her blood-soaked hands.
So everything else is clean?
Killer shuts up and furrows his brows.
Is the rest of it clean?
Yes. Fuck. You can't trace a damn thing back to me. How do you think I have never got caught?
Victim smiles, then walks behind him. She grabs his hands and squeezes them, then snaps his fingers back. Killer screams, then smiles. His face flickers from pain to mad joy.
You're a natural.
She towers over him again, her face rigid and cold.
So it hurts?
Killer's face goes flat in fear. The full intensity of the pain sets in. He squirms and tugs at his binds to no avail. Victim rifles through the boxes and finds a sledgehammer tucked behind them. It screeches on the floor behind her as she approaches the killer. Killer kicks his feet and turns his head away. He attempts to slide to the other side of the beam, but his binds are too tight. His body twists to the side.
No, 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 no.
That right there. Is that what you wanted from me?
Killer pants as tears stream down his cheeks. He kicks at her as she approaches.
When you're right.
She steps on his shin and smashes his ankle with the sledgehammer. He screams. Light illuminates her from one side, leaving the other side dark.
You're right.
She brutalizes him. Killer screams until his vocal cords give out. He cries silently as she watches him with dead eyes.
Kill me.
She drops the sledgehammer and circles the room. She opens a box, touches everything inside slowly and deliberately.
I'll make a deal with you.
Victim moves to the toolbox. She licks her fingers and holds each tool, pressing her fingers into every handle and blade.
You had your chance.
She selects a small paring knife and crouches by Killer. Their faces nearly touch. He is too weak to move.
Why did you untie me?
Killer turns away, gasps in pain. He cries without words.
You're a coward.
Spit and blood dribble from his lips. Victim holds her arm up to his mouth and lets the liquid stream onto her arm.
Bite down.
He ignores her command.
You wanted this, now bite down.
Killer bites down and breaks the skin. She smiles as a trickle of blood rolls down her skin, then sits on his shattered legs. She slashes the killer's arms with the paring knife, small, quick slashes in a crosshatch pattern. He stops struggling. There is no fight left in him. Sirens blare in the distance. Killer turns his head to the sound. Victim places a cell phone on his chest. He cries, recognizing it as his own.
You're careful, huh?
She shakes her head.
So careful and clever.
She reaches behind him and rubs the cell phone on his hands and let it fall to the floor. She walks to an open bin and pulls out a box of matches. She places one in the killer's mouth.
I always thought that the matches were tacky, by the way.
The match falls out of his mouth. Victim slashes his cheek in the same spot he had the knife on her, then puts the match back in his mouth and holds his jaw closed. The sirens are right outside.
This was fun.
Victim kisses him on the forehead, then dumps the rest of the matches on his lap. Killer's eyes flicker closed as he passes out from the pain. She stands back with her hands up. Close up on Victim as we hear the door being kicked in. Interior assisted living facility, recovery room, day. The room is bright and decorated with stock art. Everything is clean and sanitary. Killer stares out the window in his wheelchair with an IV plugged into his arm. His hands are twisted and scarred. A blanket covers his legs. He looks at his mangled hand and tries to make a fist. His fingers move slightly, but they won't bend. He tries again. An orderly comes in and wheels Killer back to his bed. As he is lifted, we see his legs end at the knee.
Well, let's have it.
The orderly sighs as they pull the blanket over Killer.
Guilty on all counts.
Death penalty?
No. I'm sorry.
Killer takes a deep breath that is interrupted by a wince of pain. The orderly rushes to increase the morphine drip.
Incoming email. Her face is on every newspaper. She's a legend.
The orderly stands with their mouth agape, then shakes it off.
Rest now, Mr. Meyer. You're safe here. She can't hurt you anymore.
Killer paws at the orderly's arm with a hand that won't curl. The orderly gasps.
It was me. I swear to you. I'm the matchstick killer.
The orderly backs out of the room and stands outside the door where a psychiatrist is watching.
Tell him it was me.
The killer fights to stay awake to hear what they're saying. Close up on his face as they talk.
It's been 2 years, Doctor. He still thinks he's the matchstick killer. What if he's telling the truth?
He's not. You saw the trial. There is no way. It's Stockholm Syndrome. He needs time to adjust.
But doctor, what if he is?
He is not.
The door closes. Killer's legacy is lost. He is left with his broken body, never to walk or kill again. Fade to black.
Zoom applause. All right. Very nice. Very good.
Gilligan.
Gilligan! We have had some tonal shifts this evening, but it's good. It's I like, anything can happen here in Scriptitude. All right. Let's take a look here at what are we going to do? Here's my notes. Let's throw it over to Joanne Casey, who's going to talk a little bit to Allison about her script. And if anyone on the panel has any questions, we can jump in too. But take it away, Joanne.
Thank you. I wanted to welcome everyone tonight, and I'm going to tell you first, before I start asking Rocket some questions, I'm gonna read her bio. So Rocket Ross, aka Allison A. Ross, was born in Wisconsin and now lives in Austin, Texas. After years of working as an audio engineer and a songwriter, she has focused her efforts on screenwriting and filmmaking, which allow her to combine all her passions into one focused path. In her writing, she strives to expose humanity's best kept secrets, whether it be social constructs that prevent us from being honest with ourselves or the dark thoughts we are taught to suppress. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. So the first question that I have, which, this one probably is more, where did you get your idea? Where did this idea come from for your script?
I'm not certain where it came from. I was actually taking a screenwriting class down here at the Austin School of Film. And it was one of those where how could I make a short film that's still or a short script that's still interesting and fun. Yeah, so it took a lot of just writing, just trying to really stretch the boundaries of what you would see. It was especially with the serial killer thing, there are a few standard ways that that's going to go. So I wanted to do something that I hadn't seen yet.
Awesome. So what skills did you take from songwriting? Was there any songwriting skills that got transferred over into your screenwriting? I'm just curious about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. As with songwriting, a lot of it is about the form and fitting a lot of information into a few words and making sure that that rhythm is there. And I feel like screenwriting is very much the same, where you have to balance it. You want to, I have found that less is more in both songwriting and screenwriting. So that helps a lot. And just the planning can be very similar also.
Awesome. Mike said he had a question. I wanted to give him an opportunity.
Yeah, sure. Allison, you're in Texas, you're in Austin. Have you been to the Austin Film Festival yet? I know that's a big one for screenwriters.
Yeah, I went for the first time this last year. So that was really incredible. I've only been in Austin for a few years, so this was my first opportunity to go. It was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of my heroes are well, I love the Script Notes podcast, and I think they did some live events there. John August and Craig Mason, they've been doing 500 episodes of that show. I wondered if there's any podcasts or any books that you find have sort of helped you focus on what methods you use.
Yeah, so I didn't get to go to that panel with the Script Notes, but I did start listening to that after. I do really like that one. And then I really like actually a TikTok of the writer Paul Gaio, I believe is how you pronounce it. I watch him quite a bit. And right now, because I'm still early in screenwriting and still learning, I'm really doing more research and trying out different methods, different outlining. It was one of the panels I went to at Austin Film Festival was actually Save the Cat. So I was exploring that a little bit. And I think it's just a matter of taking what I like from different ones and putting them together
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. For anyone watching that doesn't know Save the Cat, the late writer Blake Snyder started the sort of Save the Cat franchise, and it's the idea is that you give your character a moment early in the story to save a cat or some sort of equivalent, so the audience is on their side. But he has a whole whole process of doing the beat sheet for writing. The latest there's a Save the Cat Writes for TV, which is kind of useful for the exercise we're doing now, written by Jamie Nash, who also does another podcast that I listen to.
And Jamie Nash was the one running the panel, and he actually gave us all his a free copy of his new Save the Cat workbook.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was really cool. Very
Cool. Yeah, his show is Writers Blockbusters, which is not every week, but they do a good job with theirs. Joanne, I didn't want to take over if you had more.
Oh, no, that's fine. Keep going. You can keep going. Mike, do you have another one?
Actually, I got a question.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
Open it
Allison,
up.
generally something like this, it actually works a lot like a mystery, your script. And I'm assuming that you probably started from the end and worked your way back to kind of develop the story. And I noticed there's two kind of thematic things going on there. You have the very ending where you have the killer whose identity has been stripped from him by the victim. But just before that, you also have the killer as somebody whose hubris got the better of him. And that really was what had the victim come out victorious, despite the fact that she went to prison and everything like that. That's a bad ending for the rest of us, but a good ending for her. And I guess which one, in order to work backwards with it, which one did you start with? Did you have the idea of a serial killer whose identity got stripped from him? Or did you start with the idea of, because either one is right. I'm asking out of my own curiosity. Or the idea of a serial killer whose hubris got the better of him and allowed him to be taken down by one of his victims.
Let's see. So I would say when I was writing it, sometimes it's hard to remember because everything happens so fast, But I remember focusing on the serial killer and thinking, like, how can we do a revenge story that isn't really a revenge story? Because a lot of times the classic storyline is, oh, the victim kills the serial killer. But it just didn't feel like a satisfying ending, like writing another one of those stories. So I was like, what would hurt that serial killer more than death? And I was filling my head with all this like serial killer stuff. And obviously I'm Wisconsin, so you grow up hearing stories of Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein and all that. So yeah, I would say it started more with the hubris and the main flaw of him leading to something dumb that he does that gets the better of him.
All right, good answer.
Cool. What's your favorite thing about screenwriting? Do you have a favorite part about it?
It might be a little bit cheesy, but I just like actually sitting down to write because it all plays in my head, and there's just something really satisfying about like getting to watch a movie where if you don't like a part, you can change it.
Great.
And just having all these ideas and then finally having a way to really put them out and work on it. It's a different experience than music because music feels very limited, like, oh, 3.5 minutes, do this. But with screenwriting, it's like, even though there is some pretty strict structure and formatting, it's like you can just do what feels right.
Awesome.
My favorite part of screenwriting is getting producer's notes.
How about that, Allison? Are you planning on shooting any of these yourself, or you just want to hand it off to someone else? So have you been involved in shooting any films?
Yeah, I actually had a very tiny production in my apartment where I invited a couple friends over and we shot a little silent film, and my characters were just a couple Polaroid cameras that I bought for very cheap. So we have footage for that. And now I have to learn editing. So right now I'm focusing more on just like writing and getting that right. And then I'm thinking in the next couple of years, I'll probably, I have some other friends that I was talking to about picking one specific idea and going through the process of like writing it and then raising money and actually filming it. So yeah, so a lot of that stuff takes time, as you all know, but I'm learning that.
So what is next? What do you have? What are you working on now? Care to share?
Yeah, I can share a little bit of it. I'm actually finishing up a second draft of a feature, which again, I do write more horror thriller stuff. So it involves a demon that's just very lovable. You'll love him. But basically a corporation hires him and his demon friends to do some marketing advertising, and it goes poorly.
Cool. Actually, go
Oh,
ahead.
no,
It's just I see Jeff has his hand up, so I figured he's
Yep,
gonna
I was
ask the
just
next
gonna
question.
get to Jeff. Go ahead.
That sounds like a kitchen sink drama, these days. That could be or a horror.
Hallmark needs more demon movies.
Right, yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
a lifetime. I don't know if you had mentioned it. I was just curious what some of your influences were of television programs or feature films, TV movies, miniseries,
Yeah.
limited series.
Well, two like super big influences of mine are George Romero and John Carpenter. And then I'm rewatching The Walking Dead again because it just ended. And that was a big one that at least pushed me into horror. And there's just, wow, that's kind of a heavy question because there are so many different like movies, TV series that I just love. I'm almost going blank with it right now,
Well,
but
I guess I've been wondering what which we all like a lot of things, perhaps. What drives you to want to actually try it for yourself? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of what would actually perpetuate me to sit down and want to say, I want to try that. I can think of a couple. It would narrow my list down. Like Vince Gilligan.
yeah.
I probably wasn't as enthusiastic about entertaining the thought of doing what you're doing until I saw, Vince Gilligan at work. And this is really something I want to explore. Is there someone that you think that just kind of checked it off for you?
Yeah, so I would also have to blame COVID for this, but I've always been writing, but in like 2020 when we were all stuck inside, I started writing a novel. And it was just one of those things where, oh, I have time to do this. I should just do it now. But that turned into like this other stressful time. And it was actually between taking a screenwriting class and taking an improv class, where I was like, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to take some sort of class, get myself out of this like mental block. And then I went for screenwriting, and then just expecting it to be more of like a hobby, fun thing to do. But then the more I learned about it and the more I actually tried it, it just felt very right. And I was like, I would like to continue to feel like that and also have another creative outlet for these ideas. Does that answer it a little better?
Yeah, so it's came from within. It was all pretty much internal. It's from, mostly from you yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Trust me,
great.
nobody wanted me to be a screenwriter, so
You inspired you.
yeah.
No, nobody wanted any of us to be screenwriters.
No.
That's pretty much our mantra.
We should make t-shirts.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike here. Allison,
right.
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for selecting my script as well. All the actors did amazing. Thank you so much.
I have to say, second that motion. The actors were wonderful. You guys were really great. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone was great tonight. It's funny that the something Allison just said, the relationship between sort of improv acting and writing is kind of, there's a relationship there, because you got to think, well, what would I say next, or what would this character say next? And that's what you're doing when you're writing. And sometimes when you're writing, you're typing something and you don't really understand it, but the character is saying something that you didn't know they were going to say as you're typing it. That's an experience that sometimes I have. It's great.
We call those typos, Mike.
No. It's really happening. It's really happening. Okay, so let's. I think this has been a good evening. We've done this a few times here online, and we're getting better and better at it every year here.
And faster.
Are you? Who's counting? Who's counting? I'd like to say thanks to Wayne for running our competition and being our fearless leader. Thanks to Sean and Two Sue's Casting for putting the cast together. Joanne for her moderation and her help, and all the members of the selection committee. And of course, thanks to Allison Rocket Ross for her winning script. I'm going to share my screen here. I got some. What do you call it? I got some links to share here. I'd like to say thank you to the Script Studio for their continued sponsorship. They're the complete creative writing software package for screenwriters, playwrights, and novelists. You can check them out at scriptstudio.com. You can also contribute to the Rochester Association for Film Arts and Sciences at rofusny.org. We are a 501c3. None of us get paid for this. This is something we do to put back into the community. And for more information about our biweekly Rochester Writers Workshop, you can visit rwwny.org. Wow, how about that? Okay, so let's see everybody one more time. Here's our gallery. And I'm going to say good night, everyone. Have a safe trip home, and no snowballs.
We are already home, Mike.
That's right.
And